Hello, everyone, and welcome to Q&A. So this is episode 9 of Q&A, and today we titled it, Can We Agree? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a second. Whoops. Live! All right, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a second. And I just want to start off by saying welcome to our live YouTube viewers and to our live viewers on johngarytv.com. Adam and Mike are standing by. They're going to be fielding your questions and comments as we go through. So please chat with us, say hello, let us know you're here, and ask any questions you want. We'll try to get to them during the show. I think we've got a really good show for you today. I don't have any guests today, which always makes me sad because I love when we have guests. But don't worry, because I have an announcement to make in a little bit about that. But we have been getting really great feedback about our Q&A, and thank you so much for watching it and for commenting. So obviously ask questions and comments now so we can kind of talk to you live. But if you're watching this after the broadcast, just put a comment in or a question in. I always try to either answer them directly when you put them in there right away, and or I bring them up on the show, especially if we get a lot of the same comments and questions. So also, join me on Facebook and Instagram. I post on there just about every day. We have an Instagram account, John Gary, or it might be Jay Gary. I don't even know. But you can check it out. I always post the links in our description, so you'll see those on our page. On my blog, I put all of anything I talk about, I put all the links to that stuff. So join me there, Facebook and Instagram. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube or even wherever you're watching it, subscribe to us on YouTube and hit the like button as well. That will help spread the word, and it will also, when you subscribe to us, it will let you know when we're about to do a live broadcast, so you'll always know. This is a constant for us now. This is our 9th show. We do it every Thursday at 1 p.m. And we just started last week a brand new Facebook Live segment that we do on Fridays at 1 p.m. So I hope you'll join me for that. Going to be super fun tomorrow. I'm going to answer a question that we got from one of our subscribers, one of our listeners. So I hope that you will join us there. And today's show, we're going to talk primarily about a book that I'm reading, and the book is called The 4 Agreements. So it's this book right here, and I want to talk a little bit about why I do this. So my goal for John Gary TV is to help take some of the pain out of what you do, what instructors have to do all the time. I know how challenging it is to create content and program and kind of come up with fresh things for your clients and to stay motivated. So that's really one of the main goals of John Gary TV, is that I can provide classes for you and notes that you can just take and teach right away. And that way, it kind of frees up your time to do other things to help you be more successful. So that's definitely one of my goals. I also want to entertain you. That's definitely one of my goals. I hope I'm entertaining. And the other thing is that, I constantly strive to personally develop, to be a better person. And that goes along with to run a better business, to be a better person, just in general. And so one of the commitments that I made to myself this year was to try to read 2 books a month that will help me do that. And research and history has shown that the most successful people in the world have always strived to make themselves better at what they do, or to make themselves a better human being. So, I think it's something that we should all be striving for. And so each month I try to read at least 2 books, and then I want to share those with you, because especially if I think they're really good, which so far every book I've read I've been like, yeah, that's really great. So I want to share that information with you, and I'm hoping that then you get that information and you can use it as well, and you can share it with the people in your life and the people, if you're an instructor, the people that you teach. So that's definitely why I want to do this. And the book this time that I've been reading and rereading is called The 4 Agreements. I talked about it a second ago. It's such a really good book. It's such a great personal development book, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it a little bit. And I'm just going to give you my take on it, my takeaways on it, and I'll post a link to where you can pick up that book as well. But before we talk about the book, I want to kind of go back and talk about last week's Q&A, because we got a really great response to that one. Our guest last week was Mike Beecham. He's he's a business expert and also my partner, and he was a guest, and we talked about marketing tips, and he gave some top marketing tips. And along with that, I tackled the question, which goes along with marketing: does Pilates make you taller? So if you haven't seen that episode yet, you might want to check it out. But let me talk about one of the comments that we got from Jem, and this was a comment on YouTube. She watched on YouTube. She said, "I really love your honest take on Pilates marketing and always look forward to your daily move of the day videos. Was wondering whether you could suggest your favorite snacks or food to power you through the day. Also, what tips would you give for a new instructor, especially approaching new private clients? Thank you, John." First of all, thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting and your questions. And I'm going to tackle snacks first. So, if I was going to talk about my favorite snacks, they probably wouldn't be on the healthy list. But I'm going to talk about the snacks that I enjoy and that I try to stick to. So first of all, I always, whenever I go shopping, I shop in, stores that have a lot of produce and a lot of kind of fresh fruits and vegetables. And so when I go shopping, I always try to pick up either some cashews or some almonds. If you go into the bulk section, if the store has that, it makes it more economical. And then that's something that I do at least once a day. Grab a handful and eat those to help with snacking. The reason I like that is because, first of all, they're really good for you. I eat the raw versions. I had raw cashews right before I came up here. I like the flavor of them, and they fill you up, and you don't have to eat a lot of them. So even just like 4 or 5 is really good, and like I said, it's really healthy as well, and it can really help your if you are trying to really watching calories in terms of making sure that you eat the correct amount of macronutrients every day. I can say it. Then it's really important to make sure that you don't eat too many of them, because they are highly caloric. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is, I do enjoy bodybuilding. I do enjoy strength training, and I'm in a program right now that I'm upping my protein intake a little bit. So, and I love chocolate. So one of the things I will do is eat or drink protein shakes. And I actually use a plant-based protein. I really enjoy it. It's great because you can take the powder, and it's super easy to mix. You can just shake it up and drink it. It's super easy. So that's another thing that I'll do pretty frequently. And then when I'm really organized, I'll slice up an apple, and I'll take some almond butter, and I'll have an apple with an almond butter. So those are kind of typical treats that I use during the day. I try to stay away from highly processed packaged things, and most of the time eat whole foods, and I think that's the healthiest way to go. Plus, it's pretty, it's just so much flavor, and it always tastes so much fresher. All right, so that's my snack answer. Tips for new private clients. Well, it just so happens that about a couple of weeks ago on johngarytv.com, which is a virtual training center for fitness and Pilates, I actually put a new program together from some videos that I've done, and they are all about working with new clients. So whether you're a group instructor or you're a private client, you'll see that in there. And so if you go to johngarytv.com and look under our special programs, you'll see that in there, and there's a number of videos. We're going to keep adding videos to that as I make them, and that will give you some really great resources. So check that out, and I really like that question a lot, so that actually might be one theme for an entire show that we have coming up. So stay tuned, and we'll see about that. All right? So thanks again, Jem. I really appreciate it. And then Rachel Santos said, awesome, thanks for telling it like it is. I think Mike did a fantastic job of talking about marketing. And Jennifer, and that was also a YouTube viewer. And then on johngarytv.com, one of our subscribers there said, Jennifer R. Love Jennifer. She's really good with commenting on videos and content that we put out there. So thank you so much, Jennifer. Shout out to you. She said, thank you, John and Mike. I have been trying to figure out marketing strategies for my little studio, and I thought this was very helpful. Looking forward to more of your business help sessions. Well, again, thank you, Jennifer, and great news. I was talking to Mike today, and we are definitely going to make his segment a permanent segment going forward, talking about business tips and what you can do, whether or not you're a private trainer or a group instructor, or you run or you manage a studio or a business, or you own a studio or a business, fitness center. He is going to come up with all kinds of topics. There's so much you can cover there, and he's an expert. He has an MBA from UCLA, and he also has worked in big corporate offices, and as well as he's done a lot of work working with our studio now for 6 years, really directly with our studio, managing it, and really learning all the details, the good and the bad of running a business. So he's going to cover a lot of that stuff going forward. And so thank you very much for that. And you can look forward to seeing him next week. Let us know what you want him to give you advice or help with. What kind of topics do you have? Is there anything specifically in your business that you're struggling with that you want some help with? He's a great consultant, and I know he's really excited to get this started. All right, so now I want to go over what we kind of produced this past week on John Gary TV. So, of course, we do our exercise demos, so you'll see those at least 3 times a week now. And then tomorrow, coming up tomorrow, we have in the can, it's scheduled, you'll see it first thing in the morning, our ab series fitness workout. I did a Pilates and fitness mixed ab workout. So it's kind of short, I think, was it like 15, 20 minutes long? But it is a great thing to put in at the end of your class or at the end of your workout to really focus on abdominals. I really like that one. It's actually one that I do in my cycle core class. It's one of the workouts that I'll do at the end of my cycle core class. So check that out. This past Monday, we put out a new beginner chair workout, and we've gotten some great feedback on that. Thank you so much. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do is to put a few of our workouts onto YouTube so that they were really, I felt like it was a community class so that anybody could watch them. You didn't have to be a subscriber to John Gary TV to watch them. So I want to do that at least once every couple of months. I want to put a new workout on there. But if you like that and you're interested in subscribing to us at johngarytv.com, we put out an equipment class, usually a reformer, but sometimes mixed equipment like we did this past time. Every Monday we do a live show and we put that in our library. Every Wednesday we do a mat workout, mat show too. We do a mat workout, and then once a week we also have a fitness workout that we put out. So there's tons of content. There's also workshops. There's a ton of stuff. So check that out. But it's gotten a lot of great feedback both on our site, johngarytv.com, and on YouTube. So I'm really super excited about that one. It was one that we had requests for, so I'm glad we were able to do that one. And then just yesterday, I went through an advanced Pilates mat express workout. That was super fun, and I picked a couple of exercises that you don't frequently see in some advanced classes, and so I wanted to throw those in there, and I wanted to do a program, so I moved the exercises around a little bit. I wanted to work on flow, which was a comment that somebody gave a little while ago about one of my workouts, because it was built more like a fitness workout, not like a Pilates with the real fluid exercises from one to the other. So this one was definitely focused on flow as well. So I think you'll like that. Check that out. That was just yesterday. One other thing that I wanted to mention, because they just released this, I am going to be teaching at the PMA annual meeting. It's the PMA conference. I found out about this a while ago, and I did mention it before on the show, but registration just opened up, and you can do early bird registration. This year it is in just outside of Palm Springs. Is it Indian Springs? Do you remember? Indian Well or Indian Spring? But it's just outside of Palm Springs, like 10 minutes from there. And it's going to be awesome. It's in October, so I hope you'll sign up for that. All of this information I'm going to put on in the blog that I write about this, but it'll also, if you just want to check it out, anybody can go to johngarytv.com and go to our education page, and you'll see that. This next weekend, not this coming weekend, but next weekend, is our first conference at our studio, workshop conference. Tons of Stop Pilates content. You can get your Stop Pilates CECs. I'm teaching, and 2 of our lead instructor trainers are teaching as well, so I hope you can come and join us for that. And then I'm going to Rio. Carnival just happened, but I missed that. But I'm going to be at the Contrologia conference in Rio in June. I hope you can join me there June 9th through 11th. So everything that I'm doing, all of the workshops that I'm teaching coming up are going to be up there, all right? So on that page, so check that out. All right, it is time to talk about the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And this book, I was surprised because I really only heard about it, I think, within the past year, but it was published 10 years ago, and it's a super popular book, and it's based on Toltec wisdom, which I just find the book really fascinating. I think we'll get into the agreements in a second, but one of the things that I love about it is, a lot of the books that you read today are really takes or information based on kind of spiritual teachings of a long time ago, or cultural teachings of a long time ago. And these things just don't change. The world changes, of course. How we live, the things we do from day to day change, but all of these things really don't change. And it's one of the great things about life, I think, is reading how people thought thousands of years ago and how those things really can apply to our lives now. And that's the case with this book. The Toltec are were really famous in southern Mexico, and they were known as, quote, the women and men of knowledge. And so it wasn't necessarily a religion, but it was definitely like this whole cultural wisdom that they passed down from generation to generation. And then it's coming to light now because of Don Miguel Ruiz and him writing about it. So really, the book sets up these 4 agreements about, and it's really based on kind of limiting your negative beliefs and those kinds of things that you come up with at a very early age. And the whole beginning of the book prefaces how we are when we're really young and playful and happy and just experiencing life. And then with the information that we get, that we take in, and I've heard this from other different types of seminars too. It's super powerful. You kind of get a little tape recording going in your head of all these things, like all these beliefs, your kind of belief system, and then everything kind of gets put through that system, if you will, and you kind of interpret what's going on from that. So what this book is about, is making new agreements. Those are things, beliefs or agreements that you have in your past, and this is about making new agreements so that you can live like you were when you were a child, so that you can be more playful, so that you can be happier, so that you can basically transform your life. So the first agreement, let's go through the 4 agreements, and the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Now, you're going to notice that these agreements sound pretty simple, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, be impeccable with your word. That sounds easy. But as I've learned, once you try to put these things into practice, that's exactly what it becomes, practice. Because you're going to find that those beliefs that you have, that little tape recorder that's running in the back of your head all the time, is really hard to stop and change. So it takes constantly thinking about this and bringing yourself into the moment, so to speak. And so one of the things that this is about is just the word impeccable itself. The word impeccable means without sin. And so that means, when you speak, you're speaking honestly, you're speaking truthfully, and you're speaking without sin. So always be truthful. That's a really tough thing, because there are some people that you're like, well, he's super honest, when they say something to you. But you can actually be honest and you can say truthful things without hurting someone's feelings. You just have, there's an art to it, and it's something, again, that you need to practice. But one of the things that I got from this, and this is something that should, but always kind of comes back to me from different people, and that is don't gossip. One of the most powerful things that you can do is gossip, because that just spreads venom, right? Talking about people behind their back. I heard this a while ago, way a while ago, on the Oprah show, and she did this whole thing on gossip, and it really stuck with me. And the whole thing about gossip is, it's never really for the good, right? It's really easy to fall into that whole gossip thing and talking about people or trying to figure something out or whatever, but it doesn't really have there's nothing really positive that comes out of it. So if nothing else, think about that. Be impeccable with your word about staying away from gossip. Okay, picture time. Just so you know, we have to stop, because of the way our camera works, we have to stop within 30 minutes for the camera itself, so that, because it doesn't recognize that we're actually continuing to go. So that's just a reset. But anyway, so I wanted to talk specifically about someone that I know. I'm going to give her a shout out, Teresa McCabe, who is a really good friend of mine and was a co-worker of mine when I lived in Chicago. So now we're talking 20 some years ago, and she was really one of the instructors that I very much looked up to. She was always positive. She was an incredible instructor. She gave it 100%. And what I noticed is that, we were in this big, large club, and there were lots of instructors and lots of, it was a really strong community. But whenever the conversation got to be kind of gossiping about someone, she would always find a way to, and it was seamless, to change the subject, to take us in a different direction. And it was so cool. And if she wasn't able to do that, she would gracefully kind of remove herself from the situation. She wasn't going to be a part of gossip. And that was such a valuable lesson for me to see and experience. And, I am definitely not perfect at that, but it's something that I am continuing to work on, and it's something that I think we all should work on. So that's kind of the first agreement. That was my biggest takeaway from that. The second agreement is another one that I think is just fantastic, but I think really, really hard to do, and it's don't take anything personally. This is such a tough one, right? Because as instructors, part of what we do is perform, and you're out there and you're putting yourself out there, and you do want to know if people enjoyed it or if they didn't enjoy it, or if you need to work on it, if you need to change things. But it's also really difficult to get that feedback and not take it personally. So, presenters, I teach around the world along with other presenters, and one of the things that happens when you teach is that a lot of conferences most conferences have you fill out an evaluation for what you took, and then they send that information to the presenters. So I learned very early on when I started presenting that you don't look at your workshop that you just taught before you're going to teach another workshop, because it can really mess with your brain. You'll get, it was typical that I would get really, really good feedback, and you're like, yay, yay, yay. And then there's that one person who just, for whatever reason, wasn't feeling you. And, there are 99 really positive evaluations and one person that wasn't feeling you, and may not have said the kindest words. And that's the one that stuck in my brain. And so I had to learn to let that go and not focus on it, because it really will mess with you when you're trying to live your life. So that was a really big lesson for me of one of those things of don't take anything personally. So it's not just the negative though. Part of this is don't take anything positive personally either. Don't take anything personally. And that's because when someone is giving that out, it's not about you. Mostly, it's about them. It's a reflection of them. So, you may have clicked with them at that moment, but at the next moment, you didn't click with them. So, it's one of those things where what you need to do is go back to that first agreement and be really honest with what you're saying and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to teach, the information that you're giving, and that's the most important thing, right? So don't take anything personally. One of the things that I thought of is, the new age of technology. I sound like I'm 1,000. But, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, and you're looking to see, did somebody like my post? How many people like my post? How many people wish me happy birthday? How many people, have subscribed to us? All of that stuff. And you have to just be really confident in yourself and love yourself, basically. That's the most important thing. And make sure that the content you're putting out there is content that you want to put out there that you think will improve other people's life. And that has to be the intent, and that has to be what you do, just period. That's it. And whatever comes back, don't take it personally. All right, so that's the second agreement. Now let's move on to the next agreement, the third agreement. And this is probably the most important one. Don't make assumptions. And it really, really goes, if you look at the first two agreements, this really, really ties into those. And we do this all the time. You'll see somebody smile at you and you make an assumption about why they're smiling at you. You see somebody not smiling at you and you make an assumption about why they're not smiling at you, or why they didn't say something, or why they did. We do it all the time. Our brains kind of get wired that way. But really what you're doing is you're going back on don't take anything personally, and you're also going back on that be impeccable with your word, right? Because you are making assumptions, so you're not actually being honest with yourself, because you don't know why they did that. The only way to know is to ask them. And that was my takeaway from this. Rather than making assumptions and worrying about what somebody's intent was, ask them. If you're that curious about it. And remember, no matter what they say, don't take it personally. So these are things, like, they all go together so well and they seem so simple, but it's super challenging to do. And that leads us to our very next one, our fourth agreement and final agreement: always do your best. And this kind of ties those other three together, because, I have learned that you are not going to be successful all the time at these things. It's a moment-to-moment thing, but here's what's so great about life. You get to reset. You get to start over every single instant of time. You get to redo it. You can make a different decision moving forward, and you can live for right now. And that, I think, for me, was the always do your best. No matter what happens, no matter what's going forward, think about what your ultimate goal is, and is what you're doing right now getting you there, and are you doing it in an honest way? So I think this book, The Four Agreements, there's so much more in this book. It's not a really long book, and I like it because it's larger type, so I can read it really easily. But it doesn't take a whole lot of time to read. And it will just not only reinforce what I said, but it's going to probably give you a lot of other information that I wasn't able to pull out from the book and give you in this kind of Reader's Digest version of it. So I hope you'll get it. I hope you got a lot from it. And I hope you'll then get that information and then pass it on. So that's my show for today. Now I want to just make sure, are we good? Aaron, hello, how are you? I miss you. I hope you're coming to see us this year again. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so again, comments, questions, please put them in. Let me know what you think of this book. I would love to hear your thoughts on it and what you got from it, if you read it or if you just listened to what I had to say about it. And also, remember that if you've got specific things that you want Mike to focus on, our business expert, please let us know, because we're starting to put together those shows now, and we would love to hear from you and make sure we're giving you the content that you want. So that does it for us today. I really, really appreciate you watching. Now make sure you subscribe to me. No, I'm just kidding. All right, that's it for us. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.